Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and don't worry, folks, Andy is okay. He's actually going to do the deep dive, which will be 1 p.m. Eastern. If you want to watch that,
1
check that
p.m.
out
Eastern.
on the BetSperts. Yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern. Check that out on the BetSperts YouTube page. So we're going to run back the Tuesday show. Maddie, how we doing?
Oh, doing good. I'm happy to hear Dandy's doing much better today too. I know he's just got a ton of work to catch up on, but after being out the last couple days, Andy's got to be pretty sick to not be able to do the deep dive. I feel like he does the deep dive in just about any condition, so must not have been feeling too well. But I'm glad we're getting that show today. It's going to be a nice little Thursday afternoon content for me while I'm doing my work.
It's always fun to listen to, and like you said, it'll be great to sort of fill in the afternoon because don't really have any World Cup soccer.
Sad.
There's no afternoon. Is there any sports this afternoon? I guess there's probably college basketball or something.
Doesn't do it for me. Yeah, I wish there was some bowl games starting up too. We got nothing. We got nothing going on this afternoon.
So I guess we have to wait all the way till tonight for this. I mean, the Rams is such a shame. I mean, to finish to get as far as they did last year, to come into this year and just lay a complete egg. I mean, I guess these games are supposed to be a lot more exciting. I don't mind watching the Raiders play. I feel like that's always interesting. Do you have anything positive to say about this matchup?
Yeah, I don't mind seeing the Raiders got off to an awful start, but they haven't been that awful a team. Came a lot of those losses. They've won 3 in a row. They're at least making some sort of a little bit of a playoff push or an attempt to get themselves back into a playoff push. The Rams are just sad, and on night one you could just kind of tell something was off with Stafford with the elbow, and maybe he wasn't fully healthy. And now we know he's definitely not fully healthy. And good for them, they got their Super Bowl, but now they're probably going to start paying for it with losing, trading all those picks away, being in salary cap hell. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Donald wants to walk away after this year with kind of where that franchise is going to be going the next couple of years. But you got your Super Bowl, so it really just kind of I feel like nothing really matters now for the next few years. You got your Super Bowl, everything was worth it because you won one.
You do. You got to pay the bill at some point. But yeah, you look at the game tonight, they're plus 6.5. Do we know who the Rams starting quarterback's going to be?
I
It's
haven't heard yet.
hypothetically Walford or Wofford. I'm not
Yeah, I haven't heard yet. That's who I'd lean towards. I have a hard time seeing Baker being ready to start tonight after being picked up. What was it, 2 days ago? I don't care if he had the playbook on the flight from wherever he was coming from. That's a lot. So Dan says it's Wofford's going to try to play, and if not, it's going to be Baker. That I don't know. It doesn't really do anything for me. Wofford's not
options.
Exactly. Wofford's not good. Baker's not much better, and he doesn't know the playbook. I tend to lean the Raiders here just because I think the Rams are pretty darn dead.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. I wonder if a Raiders team total over, it's a 24.5, which is kind of an annoying number, but it feels like the Raiders should at least be able to put up points. So maybe that'll be fun.
Yeah, I think if you gave me a Raiders team, if you could find it at a 24 someplace, that would be fantastic. I'd still probably lean towards the over 24.5 because that defense hasn't been all that good either. And I love the way the Raiders have been playing the last couple of weeks. They're finding ways to win football games. They've been scoring points, so I'm higher on them going into tonight. I think they're a better team than they showed with that 2-7 start. Not sure they're a playoff team, but I think they're definitely better than the team we saw earlier this year.
So we'll see. Maybe put the Raiders in some teasers or something. But we do have some actual fun bets to make, and this will be quite
first touchdowns. Let's go.
This is quite a list because we'll talk about what happens there at the end.
You got the whole game here. It looks like both 53-man rosters.
We'll start with the tight end here for the Raiders. One of the best ways to score against the Rams is through the tight end spot. Foster Moreau has not quite picked up where Darren Waller chooses not to kind of pick up. Darren Waller's still struggling to get back. Maybe we'll see him next week. But Moreau gets a ton of targets in that offense. Derek Carr has always been the friend of a tight end. So happy to play him at anything 12-1 or better. There's some 12s out there. Mac Hollins. Davante Adams gets pretty much most of the targets, but Mac Hollins is getting closer each and every week. He gets about 40% of the target share. If you look at the last couple of weeks, red zone targets have always been big for him. He's, again, second in the team, but it's hard, again, with Davante Adams there, again, kind of at the top of the list is a big favorite. But I really like Mac Hollins. I think this number should be, closer to single digits here. Wide receivers, again, do particularly well against the Rams. You would think of them with kind of Jalen Ramsey and some of those defensive backs that maybe wide receivers would struggle. They really don't. So happy to take Mac Hollins here again. We'll probably find something goofy to do with Davante Adams, maybe like Davante first touchdown parlayed with 2+ or something goofy like that. Tyler Higbee, again, going to play the other tight end here for the Rams. Wish I knew which quarterback was playing, but Higbee always a big target share guy in this offense. Again, given some of the struggles they have at the wide receiver position and the Raiders defense, there's a lot of different ways you can score on them. But again, tight ends have done pretty well. Tyler Higbee is a guy I'm always going to play if it's 15 or higher, and there's a 17 out there. Love that. Tutu Atwell, 19-1, picking up more and more targets each week. Again, the Rams have more receivers get hurt over and over again, so it's the end of the year. They're starting to try to play some of these younger guys. Really like what Atwell, and it's Chitarius if it's not under Tutu. He's the only guy listed with the last name Atwell, so you don't have to worry too much about the first name. But again, had this closer to 15-1, like 18, 19. You should be able to find that just about everywhere. And then I just played all the quarterbacks on the Rams because whoever doesn't play is just going to get refunded. It sounds like you could skip the. It sounds like you could skip the Bryson Hopkins bet. I actually probably go just cash that out when we're done here on the show. Again, just going to try to double check on some stuff, but going to play both Wofford and Mayfield here. Wofford a little bit banged up, but when he plays, a very mobile quarterback. They try to do some things with him. I think there's a great chance, again, he sneaks it in, or we see a bootleg and he runs it in. And then Baker Mayfield, it's been a tough season for him, but if he comes in, the offense is going to be as simple as it possibly can be here. The running backs for the Rams, Cam Akers, and those guys are pretty solid, but the Rams have always split the ball up quite a bit. I think they'll give Mayfield a chance maybe to possibly run it in if they get close. But again, same thing. He's someone that is not afraid to roll out and try to run it in. So in his first game, simple game plan. Give me all the Rams quarterbacks again. You could probably skip Hopkins. It sounds like he's not going to get on the field, but worst case, it gets refunded there. So tight ends, a couple wide receivers, and whichever quarterbacks you like.
I'm always a big fan of the quarterbacks. Maybe it's because I hit so many times early with Justin Fields, thanks to your suggestions early on in the year. But I'm a big fan of taking the quarterbacks because there's nothing more that fires you up than seeing the quarterback running that first touchdown when you got him plus 3,500, plus 4,000.
Yeah, if you really stick to it, and I do. I try to play those even on some of the Sunday games. I'll go up and do it. I mean, Kirk Cousins was the first touchdown scorer this year at 55-1. Matthew Stafford, I think, got one at like 40 or something like that. So it's one of those where it's a big number, but as long as you're sticking with 40 or better, you're going to hit a couple of those throughout the year, and it really pays the bills. But speaking of paying the bills, now I guess there's not a good way to play this at plus money, so I'll forgive you for having the minus 118 here in your first bet. But hockey,
Sorry.
How much hockey we got tonight? Big slate?
Smaller slate, only like 4 or 5 games.
They're afraid
does
of football
the NBA have a bigger? No, the NBA has a small slate tonight too, right?
Everyone's afraid of football.
That's terrible.
That's right,
it's
folks.
A shame.
They're not going to watch your sport. They're going to watch Raiders Rams. If there was ever a night to try it out, come on.
It's a damn shame. But Noops is mad at me because I have one bet that isn't plus money. Apparently, that's why I'm getting punished. But I saw that over 2.5 team total for the Red Wings number. And I like the Red Wings over team total over 2.5. I saw that number. I was going to look. I thought you might see it at 3 tonight. 0 or 3.5. They're playing the Florida Panthers. They're going to Florida. Florida's been came into the year a Stanley Cup contender. They've had some injury issues. They've got an up and down goaltending play. They've just been wildly inconsistent this year. And they are coming home from a long road trip. I always like fading the teams coming home after a long road trip. Detroit is in the middle of a road trip. They won each of their last 2 games. I believe putting up 4 goals and 5 goals, or maybe 4 in both of them. But either way, scoring 4+ goals in both of those games. And they were pleasant in the NHL this season. So I like what Detroit does offensively. Florida's inconsistency coming back from the road as well. Really like Detroit there with their team total over, and on the money line for that reason, a plus 172. Detroit's playing really good hockey. Florida's just been wildly up and down. And then the Toronto Maple Leafs. I did go back and try and do some second period over research today. Nothing came up. There was no trend yet, but we're going to keep an eye on some of those with some teams, or maybe the Maple Leafs because they were my team last year with that. We're going to keep an eye on that down the stretch. But Toronto playing very good hockey. They've won 4 out of their last 5. All 4 of those wins covering the minus 1.5 spread. Kings, similar to Florida, have been wildly inconsistent, really up and down this year. And one of the things they've done really well the last couple of years, it's given them a chance and gotten them the playoffs last year, is playing very good defense and getting good goaltending. They haven't really done either of that this year. And if Toronto's offense is playing as well as it is, their goaltending has been spectacular to start so far this year. Really like them at home laying the 1.5 against LA in the middle of a road trip with how well Toronto's playing. I think that plus 132 has a lot of value.
I can dig that. The dog approves as well. He's very excited about hockey tonight, as I'm sure you can
He's a big
hear.
Maple Leafs fan, clearly.
And Dan is just really trying to rile me up. I don't know if I like what Dan's doing in terms of making a good point, or maybe he's just trying to rile me up here. You can't
Yes,
even
probably
watch it
that.
on freaking TV. Come
Yeah.
on, guys.
We got a
Can we
couple games.
try?
It's fine.
Can we
It's fine.
try?
There's
There
enough
should be a
on.
bunch. We could have the more balanced life where instead of having to try to follow 11 NBA games on a Wednesday and just what do we have? 3 tonight? We could balance it out. Let's try. Let's defeat the NFL. That's enough.
If you were ever going to try one, but then again, at the beginning of the season, this looked like it might have been a pretty good matchup because the Rams having won the Super Bowl, the Raiders were, a team that people like coming into this year after the last year. Like maybe when they were making the schedules, they're like, yeah, that's not one we want to compete with. Who knows?
I guess so. You make a point. There are 3 NBA games tonight.
Yeah, talk hoops for me. We still got some hoops to bet on. It's not like there's nothing.
We do have some hoops.
What do we got?
I'm going to do something that feels real silly because it is a messy night in the NBA. In fact, there probably isn't an NBA game really worth putting on TV tonight. You've got the LA Clippers playing the Miami Heat. Again, from the Clippers' perspective, based on where the line's sitting, I would guess we don't see Kawhi Leonard or Paul George or both. From Miami
Does Kawhi Leonard play basketball anymore?
From time to time. He played last night.
Every once in a while? Okay.
Played last night, lost to the Orlando Magic. It's
good for him.
It's been tough, but he's getting back and playing. And the Heat have about 10 guys listed on the injury report every single night, so hard to figure out what's going on there. In the late game, the Denver Nuggets are short underdogs to Portland Trailblazers. Not that I believe in trap lines, but boy, oh boy, does that Nuggets line look a lot tastier than it should. The Nuggets have really struggled, but it's been a funky year in the NBA. We've cashed a couple bets on the Sacramento Kings as road favorites. So what the hell? Let's try it again. I'm going to take the Houston Rockets tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. The Rockets are short favorites here on the road. Was able to get a -120 on the money line. Saw on some odd screens that maybe there's a -1, -110 out there. Those are pretty much the same to me, so happy to play either of those. Again, laying the point at -110 is probably a little bit better than the -120. That push probability is super low, so poke around. You should be able to do that. Honestly, I'd play this at Houston -2 or better. I have the Rockets as 4-point favorites in this spot. The San Antonio Spurs, another team with a very long injury list and a team that seems to be clearly making a hard turn from the nice start they had to the year. I believe they were 7-3, something like that to start to the season, or something like 2-12 in their last 10 games. Have just been losing and losing consistently. No Devin Vassell tonight, no Jakob Poeltl, 2 very important players for them. And the Houston Rockets have been playing good basketball. They're coming off a victory in their last game. They are a team that really feels like are trying to win. Now, they have been losing a lot of games. There's been a little chicanery in terms of the starting lineup, but I think that's more the coach trying to shake these guys up. I'm pretty impressed with the effort they give every night. And they just look like the much better basketball team to me. So as crazy as it sounds, as silly as this feels, I'm going to take the Rockets as a favorite on the road. Again, we play them -2 or better. Should be able to find either one of the options you see here. Again, on the money line, -120 or -1, -110. Again, it's tough when you're right around a pick 'em. The lines can be a little bit goofy. But again, anything -2 or better looks good. Go Houston in the Texas rivalry, the disappointing Texas rivalry.
The Texas Bowl. We'll call it the Texas Bowl. I laughed there at the Houston Rockets are trying to win, and they've been doing a lot of losing lately. That was a nice.
It's the NBA is a strange place. I mean, we have things like upgraded to doubtful and teams that try to win that can't win.
Upgraded to doubtful. That's a thing.
Yeah, because you could go from out to doubtful. That's an upgrade. Again, if you're ever looking for a name for an NBA show, feel free. Just tag me on it as like an executive producer or something. You can take it. Upgraded to doubtful. Excellent name for an NBA show.
I like that a lot. Now, do we have tennis today as well? I'm seeing on the graphic.
We do. One bet that we talked about yesterday, I'm trying to see, should be underway shortly after we finish the show here. And then another bet, we're going to go to an ITF tournament, Matt. It's going to probably take you a little while to find this when you scroll
What's that
here.
The equivalent of? Yeah, because I know you've said the 125 is like AAA baseball, kind of. Is 100 like double A?
This would be like 2.5 A.
Okay.
It's
a lot of divisions
smaller
in
names here. Yeah, it's double A would be like they have W60s and W80s and stuff like that. Single A would be anything lower. But yeah, these tournaments are generally pretty competitive. That'll be early tomorrow morning. But let's start again. The bet I mentioned yesterday, Sophia Kenin plays against Angelina Kalinina. Should be a very competitive match here. The total fairly high. Seems like they're starting to get those numbers a little right. I think the market's made the adjustment for the indoors here at 21.5, but the 3-set price plus 155 still available out there. I think this is going to be a very competitive match, and would much prefer this again to playing the over. I had this closer to plus 135, plus 140 myself. You go back and look, both players have no problem kind of taking a break towards the end of the first set if they're down, conserving some energy and really putting the best effort forth in the second set and taking it to a third here. Again, just really like all the numbers here. Points to 3 sets. I think it's going to be tough, honestly, even to get over. So give me over 2.5 sets, plus 155. And then again, you might have to poke around a little bit. You should be able to find this. Most places have this. It might not be up until a little bit later this afternoon, but in Dubai at a what we call the ITF W100 tournament. Again, you get 100 ranking points, which is pretty solid for an ITF event. Like Anastasia Zakharova, not just because it's a fun name to say.
That is a fun
another
name.
fun named player, Magdalena Freck. I like Magdalena. It's quite interesting.
This is an all-time name match.
It's a lot of fun when you get into the deeper levels of tennis. The names are pretty good. But like Zakharova here, have her as a favorite in this match, and we're getting her at plus money, plus 100s out there, plus 105. Freck, the tour veteran, I think just getting a little too much credit for her career performances versus what we see in the last couple months from her. A lot of these numbers, especially in some of these smaller tournaments, derived more, I think, by ranking and kind of a player's overall career pedigree than maybe it should be, because it is hard to make some of these matchups. Again, Zakharova has generally been playing at smaller level events, a younger player sort of working her way back up into the higher levels, whereas Freck's a bit of a tour veteran at this point and is used to playing at bigger events. Now, that could mean she's down here to try to beat up some women, but, well, beat them up on the tennis court. Not actually. That's a bad turn of phrase. I should probably stop saying
not
that.
The best.
Win a lot of tennis matches against some lesser and higher ranked opponents. And it's done well in her first 2 matches, but I think Zakharova has the talent to beat her in this match. Again, I have her closer to minus 120, minus 125 as opposed to plus 100, plus 105. So give me plus anything on Zakharova. That'll be nice and early tomorrow morning. That'll be hopefully a wake in cash for us.
I'm in. I like it. I don't know the AA.5 tennis. I'm just going to take your word for it, and I see plus money. You know, when I see plus money, I'm a sucker for that.
You do. You love it. You absolutely do. All right. Is there anything else we have to cover here? What is the first college bowl game? We didn't have one yet, did we? Right?
No, we still have Army Navy this week, and I think we're doing the 3-man show tomorrow.
That's in Philadelphia.
It is in Philadelphia. I think we'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow. That's right in your neck of the woods. But yeah, I believe we're doing the 3-person show tomorrow. So I was gonna throw that one up on there. We talk about it a little bit. Service Academy unders.
I'll ask you just right here. I mean, over under 5 passes for Navy.
I'll take over. I'll take the over. That would be under 10, but I'll take the over 5.
Well, maybe there's an under 10. Maybe we could middle it somehow. There's no way that's an actual thing. Or maybe it is a thing.
Probably not.
So, college football tomorrow. Get excited. Matt will be back again. We'll talk some college football tomorrow. Maybe Andy will be back. Maybe we'll drag Dan back on, but we'll do a 3-banger Friday. Give us a thumbs up, a like, all that good stuff, and we'll see you then.